Engage.
And we are live.
Oh,
Musty Wargamers Season 8, Episode 7.
Welcome to the Musty Wargamers Show.
Looks like we have at least one in the house to start. Looks like Curtis from Forge and Break Gaming is here. Hey, Curtis. And so,
looks like everybody production's in there.
Yeah. For once. So how's everybody doing tonight?
Oh,
good.
Not too bad.
Don't everybody answer at once. Oh, we got
I'm doing fantastic.
What's that like?
We got Chris from Walkabout Games has jumped in. Hey, Chris.
Yeah, hey, Chris.
All right,
Curtis.
So everybody's doing good. That's good.
Yeah.
We were just talking just really quick right before we came on just about how for some of us it felt like we had just been here because we do it every 2 weeks, and then for some of us it felt like a month. It's just funny how that works.
Well, when adult life gets in the way, and you don't have a lot of time to do what you like, then it feels like it's an eternity between one and the other.
An adult life, what a waste of a good time. Man.
Yeah. Like, why do I want to be an adult?
It's like, man, you're messing up if you're an adult.
Yeah.
Well,
bad life choices.
Absolutely.
So before we do our updates tonight, maybe I'll just do something different and just mention what our topics are real quick. That we've got 2 topics tonight. After our kind of updates that we normally do, one of them is going to be has miniature wargaming become mainstream like RPGs? Why or why not, in your opinion? And the next one we'll do after that is just sort of what drives you to model or paint. And so, that's just something that we will get to after we just kind of show all our normal stuff in the beginning of the show. So with that in mind, if we do the normal clockwise rotation after the host this week, we got Rusty in the house, a.k.a. Punisher.
And you got the Snake Furskin.
Snake Furskin. Oh.
All right. So, I haven't played any games other than still playing Civilization with the family.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Really? Good.
Yeah, we're still playing video through StreamYard.
Cool.
Nice.
Not StreamYard, but Steam.
Steam, yeah.
Steam, Stream, it's the same thing.
We know we're old.
Let's see, the last show I had 2 pieces, and then 3 pieces of stuff that I had printed and had painted, right? And I was in the last show I was working on this item here, which is this item.
Oh,
yeah. Nice.
So,
how long did that take you to print?
Probably 45 hours.
He laughs.
About 45 hours.
Oh, God.
It's 4 pieces. So
very nice.
That is awesome. I love that stuff you made.
Yeah.
It's this is the stable. If you see how it's kind of one, supposed to be kind of a piece. It'd be kind of cool. I think they might have an actual one piece, but I got several pieces yet that I have to print off. And the way they got it set up is that I could not put it on one plate. They got it cut up. They got 2 different versions. It's like one it's cut up into smaller pieces and one is complete. And so unless I had an MDF printer, the big one, it would probably fit on that, but I don't. So being as a resin. And then I got this guy. So this one here.
Very nice.
So
very nice. That's such good stuff.
Those pieces of terrain that have like movable pieces and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I haven't decided if I'm going to glue this together or not.
I might. I like the idea that you can take it off and just use the bottom piece.
Yeah,
that's true.
Separate pieces of
did I bring it over? Or did I leave it over there? Oh, here it is. So this one here was, this is the one. This was one solid piece right here.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
And then this was 2 other pieces here that you glued together and you put on. So it's one. Then you can put it together.
Oh, yeah.
This one here, I think I might glue this one together because you could easily see. There's plenty of way you can just reach in there and move stuff around.
That's true.
And this was, I was telling you, it's like if in the last show, it's if something failed printing, that you could just still make it into rubble terrain. Well, it's a failed print.
Okay.
So
it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's like it's all busted up. I mean, it's like I put it back together, kind of did stuff with it, did some green stuff, kind of make it sort of better.
From here, you can't tell at all. I wouldn't even be able to see.
Yeah, I can't tell.
But you see the bottom there.
Well, it's totally black like that.
Yeah.
Can't see it unless you show the light on it. There you go.
There you go. So,
that's supposed to be a bottom there, that hole.
Yeah, that's supposed to be a floor, the stone floor.
Well, to me, it just looks as if it's just broken and like that's the way it's supposed to be.
You should make that like an abyss.
Yeah.
Like just a dark abyss inside some broken temple or something.
So yeah, that's why I just put it on a plate and just made it look like a stone thrower came in and just smashed, and blew up the floor and exploded outwards.
You could put a great big stone in the bottom of it. That'd be cover up the hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's it at? Well, I do have there was a pieces that I busted some pieces off of this and made it kind of drop terrain. This one should look familiar, Dan.
You betcha. I watched your video tonight that you just put up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, before you even brought it up, I'm like, I recognize that.
Yeah, this was we picked this thing up. What was the company that made this?
Trying to remember, they were in Fort Collins, Colorado.
Yeah. And they went out of business, and they picked this up just before they closed shop.
Just a small, it's just a guy and his wife that were running this stuff. They were looking for a buyer for all the designs, and last I knew, nothing had happened yet. But
yeah, so
it's all resin.
Except I took a piece of balsa wood and actually put an upper floor so I can take it out, so I have 2 floors if I want to.
Yeah, I did like a half of mine I could remove, but you did the whole floor. That's a pretty nice touch. Looks good.
So that's
Novus Design Studios. That's what it was.
That's it.
Just a shout out here. We got Clyde Dashing has joined, Clark Step, and Crown of Command Games.
Oh yeah,
Joshua.
hey Clark.
Hey everybody,
hey guys.
Joshua. Good to see you guys.
And then I got this one. It's 2 pieces.
Oh, cool. Yeah. You gotta check out your video you put up. That really shows it nice.
Yeah. So I got that one.
Nice.
That one. And I just finished this one. This is one I finished this morning. Putting finishing touches on it.
I mean, those are massive pieces.
Yeah.
This is 4 pieces that you had to print out. And like I said, it took about 45 hours to print it all out. So you're looking at a couple days worth of work.
No sweat off your brow though, right?
Yeah, it's like I'm painting. It's like while one's printing, I'm painting the other ones. So
yeah, yep, cool.
And in this one, I just finished also.
My goodness, what kind of table are you going to put that on?
The table right here. I got a 6x8 or 5x6 table.
Yeah, it would really fill it up. You had that table you did in your video. How big was that? It was really tight. It was nice.
This one here, that's about half of the 5x6 table.
Yeah, and it was just jam packed, like Mordheim type.
Yeah,
seriously tight. Cool.
So that's that. There's the plan is I got I think 2 more pieces I have to print off, and then I'm going to start looking at see if I want to print a couple more of these other buildings off again.
Oh, sure. Well, could you assemble them slightly different too? You said like that one printed in 4 pieces. Could you kind of alter that a little bit or not? Not really. Kind of goes one way.
Yeah, they all kind of go together in one piece or a certain way.
Okay.
Wish they were more modular.
Modular would be kind of fun. Yeah. That's cool though.
And then this is one I'm going to start working on tonight. This one here.
Wow. Yeah.
This got printed off, finished printing off, and I just primed it today since the weather was nice.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 40-something degrees today, so I got to actually go outside.
Yeah, it was nice today finally, huh?
Yeah, so
Finally.
I'm going to work on this one tonight.
Cool.
Well, that's
A couple of days, it's been around 0 down here. Yeah.
Yeah, you're on the other side of where all the cold weather's going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about your musty drink, Rusty?
The musty work drink tonight is Shackleton.
Very cool.
Oh, wow. Cool.
So, it's like if you're going out down to the Arctic or the Antarctica, just break out some Shackleton.
There you go.
All right, Tim, you're up.
Oh, I'm up. Oh, well,
Yeah.
let
We're going
Okay.
clockwise.
me go on over here and get the stuff.
You mean regular clockwise? I see what you're saying.
Oh,
Regular clockwise.
They do clocks different in Indiana, I think.
gee. Like I said, hobby stuff over there, camera over here.
Me? I'm next.
So you can see here we got the guys with the
Oh, yeah.
shield transfers on them.
Oh, that looks
One of
great.
the banners. So
Very cool.
yeah, it's nice when you got enough of the right size of transfers. But when you do your project and you do it in such a manner that you don't use the same ratio of shield transfers to shields,
It's a problem.
it's a problem. And I didn't realize that until today when I started putting them together. I thought, hey, that'll work.
Yeah.
No, I don't have enough of the big ones because I use predominantly the larger shields on anybody carrying a shield. So I should have used some more of the smaller ones and it would have made much more sense. Much more sense.
Well,
Not to interrupt him, but we just got Percy Block join the show, and I don't recognize that name, but it might be a name that is different on Facebook compared to YouTube. Sometimes I make that mistake, but hello. Thanks for joining the show.
yeah. Good to see a new face as far as I remember.
Yeah.
A new body.
A
Yeah.
new name.
So what else is going on, Tim? How is that Armada going? Have you played another game of that? Or
We started one not last Saturday, but the Saturday before, and we didn't get it finished. And I'm having a good time doing it. I like it.
cool. It's fun.
I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
It's kind of not my realm,
Yeah.
that spaceship battles and stuff. But the models were cool. I'm familiar with the storylines and stuff, and it's just fun.
There's a couple of rounds in Armada, because I played a lot of games of Armada, where like you have the approach, but then you have that point where everything ends up like that critical mass where things are closest that they're going to be for the game.
Yeah.
And so you have like the approach at a distance. You have like that getting in close. Some things can shoot, some can't. Some are in a good spot. Then you have the sweet spot round where it's like, oh, this is really deciding a lot. And then you have the opposite of the approach, and then the furthest point. And I always find it's very interesting because it is about trying to maximize that pass. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it just goes so different.
I found out that like you're planning, especially playing the Empire with the capital ships, you got to plan out, well in advance what your movement is.
Yeah.
And our games are kind of turning out that way. In the last game, we had, there was some distant moving, and then at one point in time, it was very congested. Like all the fighters were out, a couple of his cruisers were right around my capital ship and stuff.
Yeah.
And then, and what's great about the game is that everything stays in motion, nothing stands still.
Yeah.
So you're always in motion. So you may want to sit here because I'm at the best range possible and I can just light things up from here. No, you still keep drifting at least one movement phase this direction. Well, if he keeps moving this way and you keep moving that way, and he's got a turning arc like this, and you've got a turn like this, you can, all of a sudden you go from everybody being here to everybody being out here.
Yeah.
And you're trying to work your way back into that melee range.
No, absolutely.
Very it's very.
I love it. Like, I really like it. And now that I'm actually looking at playing another Starship game, like a completely different one. I also really like that one. I'd never stopped liking that one, actually. So it's a lot of fun.
And after playing it, I don't understand why they stopped supporting
it. Has a cult following. Like that one, there are people that like Armada really like Armada. Like it's X-Wing was bigger, it was more popular, I would say, but for sure. But Armada, there are many people that strongly prefer Armada as a game, and I would be one of them. I liked X-Wing, but I prefer Armada.
I like the ships better. I mean, I just like the big capital ships.
The scale, like, and everything. Yeah.
It's so funny when I started delving into it and started looking up for to buy stuff on eBay, and man, they got some of those ships are like this big. I mean,
yeah, I've heard that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, huge, like 2.5 feet long, and
like the Super Star Destroyer.
Yeah,
I have it. I should show you at one point, but I have like my Rebel fleet, because I played Rebels, and I had my Rebel fleet that I played with, like one or two that I never got to play with that much. But then because I loved the game, even before it died, because it's kind of dead now, you may know that, but it's years before it died, when it was on a slow approaching death, there were people that got out of it. Yeah. And I got a ton of stuff brand new, never even pulled out of the package at a deal. So I have a whole Imperial force that I've never played that's in the boxes. But I like the game enough that I will use it. You know what I mean? Like it's just like you guys are. Yeah. Like I'll pull it out with friends and I'll use it. It's just a matter of time.
I'm just fortunate. A buddy of mine, he had got it for him and his two brothers, but adult life gets in the way and things changed, and it's just been sitting on the shelf. And we were talking about all the stuff we have and all the stuff that we have that we don't do or may not ever do again, which is a death knell. Never think that, because then it's going to come back around to you. And he said, like that over there, I'd like to play that. And I said, well, break it out. I want to play that. You just didn't ask me. So we got together and we've been playing it.
This Star Wars.
I thoroughly enjoy it. I love that whole idea of having those orders, and you're doing them in a particular order and stuff. Yep. And you got to plan it out three orders in advance, especially
for
strategic Imperial capital ship.
Yeah, you got to move your ships the way you planned your orders. You got to plan your orders with the type of ships you have, the kind of ships the enemy has. You got to put it all together. Yeah, and sometimes it works out, and sometimes it doesn't. No.
But he tends to bring like medium-sized, really fast ships. Yeah, and I've got the great big Star Destroyers.
Yeah.
And
talk about like the
I'm moving like real creepy sled. I can't hardly turn, and and all my firepower is out the nose for the most part.
And, so what else have you been up to, Tim?
Just painting lots of Vikings.
There you go.
Vikings.
They're looking great.
Well, I'm going to do a video. Hopefully I was hoping to do all the shield transfers. Now there's a way to use the smaller ones on the bigger shields. Mm-hmm. You can use like a background color to trim around.
Yeah, that's what I've seen people do. Yeah.
I've done that before on some models, and it's okay. If I really get down to it, I've only got like 6 models, and I really don't want to buy more Viking shield transfers for 6 models. So I think that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the medium-sized shield designs and just paint around them.
That makes total sense. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, what you do is whatever the main color is of the design, you just use that as a trim color around, and it kind of bleeds in. And I think I'm going to do that. And next time, like I still have I have a bag of the late Saxon period warriors, and so next time I'm going to pay attention, and I'm going to do some research on what ratio of shield designs come in on one of those sheets, and make sure I have the right proportion to use each one of those up.
Well, what's going to keep you up at night is you're going to wonder, should I do a couple with the painted border just to show them, have them blend in?
Yeah.
Right?
I've done enough of those. I've had to do that with my Romans. I've had to do it with my Spanish.
Yeah.
I've had to do it with my Vikings now. And I think a couple of some of my Persians and Greeks, I've had to do that too. So, yeah.
The freaks don't want any Greeks.
Well, maybe before, Dan, we go over to you, we'll just do some comments real quick because we got a lot of people in the house tonight. This seems like an appropriate one to start with. It's after all the hellos. That's what I call my ex-wife. Lots of laughs. Is Chris, and so I'm not sure what that was referring to. Does anybody else remember seeing that one come out?
No.
I'm not sure because there was something we were talking about.
The freak comment.
The which one?
Maybe it was Rusty's freak comment. But
where
was it?
I've called my ex many things.
Yeah. So I'm sure that he'll probably.
And I'm sure she's called me a few names.
And then also Chris says, I'm looking forward to the new Viv. You're not talking about Viv, the YouTube channel. The guy has the YouTube channel that does all the terrain, are you? I wasn't sure when you said that. I'm just doing a really bad job at retroactively looking at comments tonight. But he says that I've got 3 bamboo printers. That's cool. I don't even know what those are. I'm assuming those are a type of 3D printer.
Yeah.
Knowing you.
Aren't those
Bamboo the name of the brand?
Yes.
Okay.
They're the latest or the cutting edge thing for doing terrain. They're the what's the plastic instead of the resin, the PL,
like the MDF style.
MDF.
No,
not MDF.
PLA. Yeah. It's the latest kind for that.
Well, I don't know if it's the latest kind, but I've watched some videos. Some friends have been sending me videos. They're like, check this out, and they're printing miniatures with them. Even it's
it's a better level of resolution.
Yes.
All right.
You don't see the layer lines like you did.
Oh, okay.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
And you don't have to deal with the resin, and the toxin, wherever your comfort zone is with that. But
well, I don't usually put the hellos up because everybody, like we announce people, but it looks like Josh was having a musty burger instead of a musty drink.
Scrape the mold off; it'll be fine.
So what does he put on his musty burger?
And so Percy Block, I think, is new to the show. Fruit Punch is his musty drink tonight, although he knows what the musty drink is, so I'm suspicious. It's like he's been here before.
Well, somebody
he's a lurker. He's a lurker. He's lurking.
Well, somebody said that they were going to try to show up for the first time tonight on your video announcement. Was it on Rusty's?
Maybe it was Rusty's. Well,
it said, "Hey," and that name looks familiar. Like I think it might have been that person.
Yeah,
okay.
Could be.
Said they never showed up, but they're going to show up tonight.
Or they've been a while since they showed up,
or something. Anyway,
Clyde says, "I have so much Star Wars Armada, I could host games." And yes, we're talking about Star Wars Armada, and the ship games. It was a cost to profit return was too low for AMG when AMG took it over from the other place. Place that will not be mentioned. I don't know. I don't remember who they were. But I remember they would, as much as I like Atomic Mass games for Marvel, it really was, the Star Wars stuff was really not, I don't think, ever their biggest priority.
Wasn't it Fantasy Flight?
Yeah, it was Fantasy Flight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Morbius or Mosaic or somebody is the parent company for Fantasy Flight was underneath that. Yep. And anyways, I think that the people that actually, as much as I like Atomic Mass from Marvel, I think they do an amazing job. Fantasy Flight really kind of created it, and I think the success goes to them on all those games, the Star Wars games. They're the ones that really
made it fly.
Yeah, I mean, like, for sure. Chris says pre-paint has been the death of me for a few companies. I think they got out before too much loss. Yeah, I guess that could be. That's probably true. I mean, when you look at the ships, though, yeah, I mean, like they had a pretty good system with the way they washed them. They look really good. If they had that down pat, it was just those details. They still had to get those details on there. Even though they were sparse, they looked so good for pre-paint, though.
Oh
yeah, I thought so. The ones I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, like for what they were.
It's only so much you can do with slave labor, you know.
You say this from experience?
Rusty.
Got a dark past.
Jeez.
Saw Tim's
That's
on
not
the
the slaves you're looking for.
Fantastic looking, Tim's stuff. And I don't know. Did I not? I don't know that I saw Mini Warmut come in. So shouting out to Mini Warmuts in the house. There you go. And then I didn't see Neil come in. This is all just recent since I started reading the comments, I guess. Hey, Neil. Good morning. We've seen you twice in a row practically, I think.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Absolutely.
And let's see. Victrix now owns Little Big Man now.
Yeah.
Oh, I did see. That's right. Forgot that.
Yeah, because remember, it took about a month for me just to get these.
Yeah.
Oh,
I hate the thought of ordering more and just having duplicate.
It was a Gripping Beast that brought front rank. I don't know.
I think
Yes,
front
it
rank
did.
got bought by somebody.
Yeah, Gripping Beast, I think. You're right. They slowly started to get their figures back in their catalog, and it's taken them a while.
And then we also got Bill over at Lance Next Connect.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill, thanks for joining us tonight. All right.
Yeah, hey, Bill.
We've got a full house in the comments, and then we got Striker too. Mel.
Jeepers, Mel.
Hopped in.
He's got a Bud Light Musty drink with a moonshine chaser ready for the chat. I'll drink to that.
Yeah. I don't know how much chatting would be done if I started doing that. I might be snoring.
And let's see. I think that's it as far as like.
Got
Oh,
everybody.
no. There's one more. One last one that's not like kind of hello thing. We've got it's a printer. This is that printer we were talking about, the bamboo. I don't have to fight with. I got tired of fighting with FDM printers. Yeah, you know, I've had a love and hate relationship with FDM printers since having to do movement trays for Old World. I've gained an appreciation again for them. Some of the basic stuff that I do on them. For a while there, I was struggling because after you do resin, it is so much more set it and forget it than FDM and like the original FDM ones. Thing is that I do like the hard plastic for those movement trays, and so I still like my FDM printer, but hearing that there's a better kind out there, that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
I don't own it.
I've heard that bamboo is a set it and forget it. It's the videos of that Mark that lives over by me. He has an old PLA printer, but he sent me a link. He says he's tempted by it, and it was, I think it's a little under $300 you can get it.
Wow.
But I watched some videos then, and it was amazing. And they said those bamboo ones are the best, you know, for somebody that's inexperienced or new to it.
Two biggest things for me that are always a concern, you know, with the PLA ones is leveling, which sounds like they probably have that one I think is easier technologically for them to improve, but clogging over time is something that clogging the nozzle is something you never have to deal with a resin printer.
Yeah. And
over time, wearing out and clogging of the nozzle is always a concern. And I don't know if with the bamboo one they've improved on that, but yeah.
I don't know.
Anyways, he says the printers cost more but less hassles, and so Percy says got a Saturn 4, have yet to crank it up. That's an awesome one. That's like around the size of yours, Rusty, right? A Saturn is pretty similar. Or is that what you have?
I got a S.
Okay. Is that similar to the Saturn?
It's a Saturn S.
Yeah. That's what I thought, because you have the large one.
Yeah, it's like a 9.5-inch plate.
Okay. Nice.
Is that what you did your terrain on?
Yeah.
Bill is drinking Black Velvet Canadian whiskey tonight. for his Musty drink. Awesome.
I'm being
And
attacked by my cat.
They have printers from $300 to $1,500. Bamboo,
Okay.
I guess, is $300 to $1,500. All right, we'll get back to the comments in a little bit, and on to updates before our first topic. We'll finish up our updates. So, Dan, how about what's going on in your neck of the woods, Farmer Dan?
Oh, well, same old thing basically. I didn't get a miniature game in, but my brothers and I and 3 of my nephews, so there were 7 of us. We try to get together each winter and play a game of something. This year we played Twilight Imperium 3rd edition. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that's one of those, like, you spend a weekend. We did.
Yeah.
We spent almost 2 entire days playing it, and it's a space science fiction
cool.
game where you each you become one of the, there's like, I don't know, there's probably 30 factions you can choose from, and it's one of those games where you can build fleets and fight, but you can also, there's a lot of diplomacy, backstabbing, deal making, because there's all these victory points that you're ultimately to win. You aren't trying to take somebody's capital or defeat them in any kind of military actions, but it's all about all these different funky victory. You all have these secret objectives you're trying to do, and you're trying to kind of connive and build alliances, and it's a ton of fun.
So is it like cards or a board game? Or
it's a board game. It is.
Okay.
We had two full-size interior doors on top of sawhorses, and we had that full from edge to edge, and we had 3 end tables.
Wow.
Ships and chits and cards and tiles, and it's a lifestyle experience, not a game to collect it or anything, but and it's a Fantasy Flight game as well.
Yeah.
So that's something you do instead of putting together a 10,000 piece puzzle. You just do that instead.
It's exactly that's what it is, and it's immersive. And I'm not that into science fiction, but it is a blast to play, and quite a ride.
Rusty's probably pointing to.
Okay, he's got it over there.
Probably got it.
It's on your shelf.
Yeah, and it's one of those games too. I mean, you really need like 5 or more people to really make it shine. More than
okay.
It creates more friction and dynamics, and the council gets together and you vote and you discuss with each of the council. You become one of the councilmen. You discuss. Well, if you vote for this, then I'll do this. Anyway, that was fun. We did that, and then
awesome.
And then basically, I guess I've just been still painting 15 mil ACW. Yep. I've got four regiments done. I'm working on the 5th one, and the starter pack came with 8 regiments. So I'm smoking along on that, and then I'll move on to the other parts of that. But still really enjoying it, and fun to make progress on that.
See you, Chris. Thanks for stopping by. Chris has just got a bolt.
Yeah. Hey, see you, Chris.
Cool. Cool deal. Well, gaming, I'll just mention really quick because I'm actually got more hobbying stuff this time than gaming. But I've played a game of went back and played a little DBA with my buddy Mark, who you might have saw some of that stuff on the Facebook page.
Yeah. I
really enjoyed that. That was really fun. I actually don't know the game very well. He taught it to me a couple of years ago, and I enjoyed it so much. I always played with his miniatures. I painted my own army. We kind of got into other things and playing other things after playing a few games, but he's played it for over 2 decades, like maybe 3 or 4. I don't know. Wow. It's been a lot. He played it for many, many years. But I actually am still new to it, but now we're returning to it, and I kind of enjoyed that. And I got I've been painting a number of different things. These are a work in progress, but for the Rumble Slam wrestling game that some of you guys might have seen, I put up on my channel, I've got these guys going. And let me
make yourself big.
Yeah. So these are like halfling ogres.
Now, wait a minute. I don't know. Are those midgets? Are you having midget wrestling?
Halflings.
We don't use those words here. We have little people wrestling.
Okay, little people. It doesn't sound much, but you have little people tossing.
Dwarf toss.
So these are 2 halflings, 2 humans, and an ogre. The one thing that I'm just trying to get as close as I could here without.
I assume the ogre is Irish.
Now that's the thing. These guys are normally just the standard team you get in the box, and they don't have hats. But I was painting them, and I didn't really know what color I was going to do, so I was like, I'm just going to make them green. And then I thought about it, like these guys are all green now, like, you know, green outfits, and I thought, you know, they got to have a story. You know what I mean? Because this is like professional wrestling. And so these guys, I think I'm going to call them the Kaiser, because in the game, the casino is called Kaiser, the Kaiser Shillelaghs. But they have leprechaun hats. And so, like, basically, there is like a clover on there and a buckle. See if I can show you. This is kind of hard to, let me get them focused here. But yeah, it's kind of hard to focus. But I thought, yeah, like, probably there's not too many people like that have painted these up as an Irish team, and so I thought it was pretty cool because and I thought it was really neat, and so I'm having fun with it, and that's kind of the whole purpose of the game. It's like Blood Bowl. It's like a fun, fast game to play, so I've got like an Irish leprechaun shillelagh or Celtic team, and then
the leprechaun, he's off the top.
They look like Lucky on the Lucky Charms box. You need to use those for like chits.
Well, and I'm painting this guy with like a darker skin tone, and he's going to have black hair, and he's going to look completely out of place. And that's purposely. So like he's like somebody that like they need, like he was somebody like, you know, as part of the troupe on the professionally wrestling team that they had to throw in there, right? But he doesn't actually, he's not Irish. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, that's great.
That's kind of funny. And so so like.
That's cool. You went to the effort to make a story. I mean, that game sounds like it. Yeah, it wants that.
It'll be fun. So
That's
then
cool.
I'm playing Drop Zone 2, which is like we were talking about space games, and I have a couple of different types of fleets that I can paint up. But I'm starting with the bad guys, awesome. These are the Scourge, and so. This is this is like a light ship, or this would be considered a light ship. And also, I have basically 8 of these painted, and then I have 2 of these, which are medium ships. And
is that the one you show? Yeah, I like.
Yes, that's the one that I showed you in a private kind of message.
Yeah, the lighting doesn't do it justice.
No, yeah.
Yeah, well, this is kind of dark, but so. I've got 3 more of this medium ships that are different style than this to paint. And then I've got some other stuff to paint too. And I have a whole nother fleet to do too, but I'm just trying to get something together to play with some folks locally. So I have them. Actually, I have put together the other medium. So when I showed you that one, this one here, this is another style of medium ship that I have to paint. And so anyways, we're talking about space games, Tim, and this is another one. It's kind of cool, and I'm looking.
I had the what's the ones with the portals in the middle?
You're talking about Drop Zone Commander, or
all the different fleets you had there.
Oh, you're talking about the the Drukari or something like that, or I think there's the other alien race, right?
Yeah, the other alien race. I had every fleet that there was.
Oh wow, that was one that went by the wayside for you.
Yeah, it's like I couldn't get anybody to play it.
Okay, that happens.
So I ended up selling it. It's like all my fleets, Drop Zone Commander, and everything is all over in Hong Kong now.
This one's kind of hard to show. So I was still working away on these, but those other ones I'm getting games together with folks, so I kind of took a break. But these ones you really can't see, but I've got like their faces painted and eyes and mustache and like all that stuff, and I just have to do some more details on the guns and on each of the guys, and then get basically the a little bit of washes and like their swords and the bases painted, and then I'm done with those 24. I've got 24 of them like that. And so I'm looking forward to finishing that troop of grenadiers. And
Grenadiers.
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 There you go. Yeah. Well, I have to say it that way. You'll see it. I wouldn't be the Musty Wargaming show if I didn't actually get that wrong.
That's how we know it's the real Palmer.
That's right. That's right. And only thing I'll just share. This is my musty drink today. I got Glenlivet 12. So I'm having that. One weird thing is, I've been sipping on this show, and my eyes have been stinging every time I go up to actually take a sip.
It's really brief.
It's strange. Like, that never happens to me, and I drink all kinds of alcohol on this show.
Yeah,
but for whatever reason, sometimes I'll take a sip, and I've just been noticing, like, whoa.
Are we going to have an intervention?
I'm hoping somebody didn't switch this out on me for something else.
And
so
they swapped it out with food coloring in Everclear. There you go.
Oh, yeah. I do think he can tell the difference between Everclear and that.
I don't know. I drink this stuff pretty fast. And so, all right. So we have a few comments here we could just do before we get to our first topic. And so, Wormont says, my Elegoo Ultra Pro 4 Pro is great for hanging hats. So I'm assuming that's what it's mostly doing right now, is keeping your hats propelled. And but I actually like Elegoo. That's a good printer. That's what I've got. I don't have the 4 Ultra. I have an earlier one, but yeah. Twilight Imperium is the king of board games, says Bill.
Yeah, it is. It's an experience.
Yeah, we used to play it when I used to go to board game night, and I picked up the box. Mine's been cracked open, but it's never been played.
Well, you're gonna have to change that.
Yeah.
Percy says that I believe he corrects himself later. He says that it's a monster game.
Oh yeah.
And so Chris says a very large game, but so fun, huge campaign game. It's peak nerd culture. Dan, you were in the peak nerd culture.
Yeah, I won't deny it.
And I'd say it's nice if you got family that wants to play the game.
Well, and it's got to be a group of people that kind of knows. It's got to be. It's like role playing. The group is what can really make this experience really fun.
Wormwood also does the Rumble Slam, and I'm pretty sure that's what he's talking about. He says he loves the Irish theme. Because he's also playing Rumble Slam. He's got an awesome ring, if you guys haven't seen it on his channel. Neil says, love DBA, and played thousands of games in the 90s. So you would know what you're doing. Much more than me. Vertically challenged.
Still on here? I think he used to play it with DBA, but with me back in the 90s.
Vertically challenged, I think, is referring to the halflings or little people.
Yeah,
vertically challenged. Yeah.
AI Palmer. Oh no, wait a second. Mel's here. He says yeah. Bill says AI Palmer gets grenadiers, right? Grenadiers.
Grenadiers.
What did I say? What did I say?
Grenadiers.
No, I didn't that time, did I?
No.
Did I say that time? Oh, okay. You sure? Okay.
Yeah.
And we jumped all over you and corrected you.
I think you'd be disappointed if I said it correctly.
Oh, it was, yeah.
Yeah, we'd be like, who is? It's like, it's definitely AI.
It's part of his charm.
Let's see here. I think this is probably appropriate. Let's see. Grenadiers, right? Diers, correct?
Grenadiers.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this probably should have been done sooner. But we probably need this. So.
Well, it's the song, the British Grenadiers. You should be playing that while you're painting. It's almost period appropriate.
I'm painting French right now, though.
Well, but We got to start with you somewhere, Palmer.
Yeah, that's true. All right. British adjacent. Okay. So
British adjacent.
at least Palmer's not trying
Grenadier
to say,
adjacent.
at least I'm not trying to say Battletech.
That's true.
Hey, drink. Better tick, eh?
I'm already
got
ready.
caught up for a while.
All right. Well, everybody, we haven't lost all of our guests yet, or our chat. They're not really guests. These guys are always part of the show. And so we haven't lost all of our peeps. And so let's talk about the first topic. And so the first topic is just, has, in your opinion, miniature wargaming become mainstream in the way that RPGs have? If, like, why or why not, in your opinion? And I'm just making the assumption that we all think they're more mainstream RPGs, because I think D&D, I'm not going first here, but I'm just leading up. I think Dungeons and Dragons, if you just look out there, like, everybody kind of knows what it is. And it's in popular culture. And I know that there are adults everywhere and working environments, like, people that play it. Like, it's not actually something that people are afraid to say they play.
So weird.
It's And so in that way is what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's like as popular as football, you know what I mean, or something like that, but it's just in that vein.
It's big. It's bigger than the genre that we're in, as far as it goes. Yeah.
Well, that's part of the discussion. And so who would like to go first?
Well, I'm going to go on a tangent on this.
Come on, drop it down.
I'm going to say that board games are more mainstream than miniature games.
Yes.
And that's
you're going to find
that's another thing. That's another thing, but that makes sense.
You're going to find more people that are going to know and willingly play board games. There's still people out there who have never heard of a miniature game that will have played board games. Because you go into, let's say, even or Target, you go into and Walmart, you're going to find board games on the shelves.
Yeah, the big name one. I mean, like, the big ones.
Yeah, your Euro style board games are going to be
Magic as well, card games.
Yeah,
too. But then what about miniature war games though? So, like, yes, you've established that board games. So when we say are miniature war games as popular as RPGs, your answer was board games are more popular than miniature war games. But why do you think they're not then? Because it sounds to me like you're saying they're not.
They're still I think they're
it's not as
still a smaller genre. It's still a smaller market comparatively. Than you're going to still have people that it's more popular than, I say, 30 years ago. You go back 30 years, even 35 years ago. If you said you played miniature games and everybody like, what? Or even say you played board games, they wouldn't even be like, what? You're getting more people nowadays that percentage wise that know what a board or miniature game is. But it's still I think a smaller portion of society that still play them.
What do you think? Do you have any? Do you gather why or?
Maybe some of it has to deal with what society still looks at. Well, it's even individuals that play D&D or anything like that, role playing games, they still think it's like, oh, that's geekiness,
Yeah.
Even though more and more society is being more and more open to these things, but
we're really progressing as a species.
Yeah, we're getting out there now. We're evolving.
I would just to kind of add a little one thing there. It's one of the things I would say about miniature gaming is it's not near as approachable.
Yeah, that's another thing too.
I don't think necessarily it's looked at as far as like the nerdiness. I don't know. I mean, there's so much goes on now, and with social media, I mean, there's plenty of things that are as or more nerdy, but I think it's just the fact that it's look at the not only the cost investment but the time investment it takes to get involved in miniature gaming. I mean,
you remember the teacher on Stranger Things? The teacher on Stranger Things with the visor painting the soldiers. I think the painting part people still view as a bit nerdy.
But I can show anybody, like miniatures I paint, or any of the friends or people that I know, or they're like, hey, I happen to see your like some local people once in a while they hit on my YouTube channel somehow, and they just think it's like cool as heck. They didn't know it even existed. Not that they would do. I don't think they view it as nerdy. It's like to them, if it's at least at some minimal level, the terrain or the miniatures, it's like art. You like it or you don't. But I don't. It's not like we play with doll. I mean, something that might be kind of like, well, that's kind of fringy. I mean, essentially we are, but you know what I mean. It's not. Yeah. It's not really weird as far as that goes. I never feel like people think it's nerdy. They don't know it exists. And of course it's war stuff most of the time.
Yeah.
Most guys would be like, well, that's manly stuff, So I don't really think it's looked at in that kind of a way.
Yeah.
I got
Just
go ahead. I was going to say, I still got a friend of mine that's the same age as me, and he still to this day thinks it's like, why do you do that? That's so geeky. That's literally what he says.
I've never heard anybody say that
One of the things I just brought this comment up, which is not the most recent comment, but it is Curtis, and he's just sort of questioning, I think, the topic to some degree. He's saying like, why do we really want it to be mainstream? I say no, which I'm guessing he doesn't feel it is mainstream if that's his comment. Curtis, I think the one thing is I don't disagree with you. Like there's plenty of things that I enjoy that are not popular and that maybe couldn't be popular with mainstream, like just for aspects of it. And I agree with you. Like it doesn't have to be popular to be valuable. It's just a topic that we're just talking about. It's just truly just an observation. Is it or is it not? And maybe why. But I agree with you. Like, I don't think it has to be for me to want to do it. I don't feel peer pressure or anything like that.
No.
But it's just more just an interesting topic, maybe, or maybe not. Yeah. So what are your thoughts, Tim?
Well, it's an interesting topic that one of the things I think it's not as well known for one thing, but I think that the board gaming has such a wide variety that can be cranked out all the time that you're going to find something that appeals to just about anybody, whether it's your basic run-of-the-mill Monopoly game on up to crime solving adventures and that kind of stuff. Now, if you're not predisposed to play games, you're not going to play games no matter what it is.
Yeah.
Board gaming, RPGs, it doesn't matter. You're not going to be a gamer. Okay.
Yeah.
Of any variety. So I think we need to understand that there's a large slice of our population that of any variety of game they're not going to play for whatever their reason is. One, they never enjoyed them as a kid. They never had fun doing it. Two, they may think that it's immature and childish. They think that it could be a waste of time, money, and energy. For a lot of different classified adult reasons that they don't do this. I don't believe that miniature wargaming will ever be mainstream because it is a subset of a subset, of people in the country that are around the world. I mean, if you took all the gamers around the world, we would be a very small proportion of the world's population. Very small.
You know the funny thing though, what you're saying makes complete sense, and I don't disagree with that comment. But the interesting thing about it is, I would have said many years ago the same about D&D. Like sitting around a table and just pretending to be somebody else and only talking and imagining it in your head. Like like I never would have thought that would have been, and it isn't. If you were to grab like 100 people, it's not that 20 people play. Like, you know what I mean? Like like it might even be that it's 3 to 5. Like that, that a play, and that might even be high. Like, and so like when we say mainstream relative, right? Like it's not like football or whatever. Like, like something that's just it's not like streaming Netflix, or something like that. Like something like that. But when you say, like, I think your comment is, I agree with it, but it still causes me to think, because sometimes you just wonder like how RPGs got popular over, like, I think the comments that have been said already about the preparation and how much time it takes to prepare, like to get into it, like the painting and like all of that.
I think that's
like
the biggest thing.
That is a big thing of it. I think that is an obstacle for some people that don't want to do that.
That was going to be my next lead in was that one was a social aspect of it. And two, let's just talk about the nuts and bolts of one. Here we have a myriad of choices to be decided. What period are you going to play? What faction are you going to play within that period? Are you going to find people around you that will play that period, or play the Star Wars game or Star Trek or whatever it is that you come up with? So it's just in its logistics, it's a little more complicated than just picking up a board game, going, let's try this.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and if you don't like it,
it's too
cold.
cold.
You're out. You move it.
Yeah. You just open it up. And then there's very little like commitment. One thing about tabletop wargaming, it is a commitment to the hobby, because it's not just I'll just throw some paper down and wad it up and throw it away later. No, you this one, the expense. We've talked about the expense before. And then once you've expended money on it, now your next expenditure is time in preparation and painting. You have to learn over time the painting and the skills that required, because I know for a fact when I first started, I was horrible. Compared to what I am now, it was ghastly, but it's part of the process. Just like it is learning lots of things. You start off at one level, and over time, the investment, you get better. Now, you've got your money, you got your time, then you really have to apply that energy factor to it. That's where you're gathering the train and friends to play, or driving to places to play and things like that. Or where like around here, gaming is like, I'm not really in tune with how young people are doing it. I don't know what the young people around my area are playing or gaming, because there's really no modern up-to-date gaming venue to where you could just walk in and go, oh, everybody's here. We don't have that in my town. I got to drive either to Dayton or Indianapolis to go find something like that.
Yeah.
That's part of why it's always going to stay small. It requires so much extra, and if you're going to really delve in, it even requires more. Now, would it be easier if you could just go down, buy a box of pre-painted miniatures that look fantastic and terrain that was all painted, and just put it out on the table and play a simple? And then you have to think about the rules. You got to read books. You may have to understand your time period that you're playing, and the weapons and the tactics and stuff, where you just can't have everything that you want. Especially if you're playing historical and you're playing kind of a balanced or asymmetrical, but with the right mixture of troops. You're not dropping World War II guys down in the middle of the Middle Ages. It's just
right.
So there's things you have to know in addition to not only the rules. You have to understand the history and And a lot of people, they just say, I don't want to go back to school. I had a friend of mine actually say this to me. Now, this is one of the people that introduced me to BattleTech. And we know how immersive BattleTech is, right? Mm-hmm. It has a history. It has historical figures. It has religion. It has all kinds of stuff into it. And he could delve into that and tell you everything about it, but to do it from a historical perspective, that same sort of thing, he would just, it just had no, to him, it felt like going back to school. It wasn't fun. Mm-hmm. So you even have to, even within all that other stuff, you got to find the thing that you like. And then, you know, you got to work it around to find people that'll play.
Yeah.
Do that.
Well, you know,
it is that in-depthness of our hobby that will keep it from becoming mainstream, because a board game doesn't have to be that in-depth. It doesn't have to be too pervasive and have all the time, money, and energy involved. It's in a box. I buy the box, I drop it down, we open it up, we get all the tokens, we read the 1.5 page rules, got it, let's go. Yeah. Then, especially historical wargaming, or like as a BattleTech, if you can just play the game, or you can delve into the history and all of it at once. It's always going to be small because it is something you can immerse yourself into deeply, and it requires a development of skill and talents over time.
Yeah.
And so I think those reasons, that's why it's not going to be, but it's also the reason why it's the one part of the total gaming industry, because I play online video games to this day, and they're very empty. They're fun to play because you play with live other people, and the comments that people come up with are just horrendous, and that's a whole different topic we can get into. But there's nothing to hold. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I have all these things in my account that I can use in the game, but I don't have them in my possession. It's just bunches of ones and zeros. Mm-hmm. That's all it is. You know, with miniature gaming, you have a possession. You have an actual thing that you own.
Right.
And that's one of the great things about it.
Absolutely.
But it's also one of those things that, again, will not allow us to become mainstream, just because you've got to have space to put it.
Yeah, I think a lot of the things that you're saying, you know, make a lot of sense. I think the investment in is a huge thing, like the painting. I mean, money is always an issue, but you can equate a lot of things to that. Because even if we think of Magic the card game, there are people at a time where they were spending ridiculous amounts of money on it.
Yes.
And you know, I guess I don't think of these things in absolutes. Like, I think of the things you're talking about are all factors like that make it so it's not, you know, currently. But then I always go back to this, like, there's still things that are more towards mainstream that also have elements of what we're talking about, like both the RPGs and the card games. And one of the things I'd say about that is just, like, for some people, like, RPGs can be very, very involved. And, like, my understanding is that compared to when I played before, most people seem to use miniatures in like Dungeons and Dragons now. And that's, like, there are people that have hundreds of miniatures, you know, that they use, even though it's not a tabletop war game. They're still investing all of that. And there's tons of preparation and seriousness that go into creating campaigns and spending time and involvement.
Oh, yeah. Like, especially like your masters, the dungeon masters and stuff. They have to put in so much time and effort in putting that together.
And so basically, in addition to, so like when you start drawing parallels, one of the things that I just thought as we listening to you guys, I think that miniature wargaming for many can be perceived as more competitive with another person than an RPG. Because anytime I've played RPGs or even see other people play RPGs, even though there's an aspect of like sometimes people compete with the dungeon master, from what I remember, but it's still the team. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're in a team.
Yeah, it's co-op.
And
it's a lot of cooperation within them.
And you're not walking in and saying like it's you and me and what I did to prepare today against you, and let's see how I did. You know what I mean? And blah blah blah. And even though we talk a lot about narrative games, and a lot of people, particularly experienced war gamers, might go more towards the narrative route. I'm not saying that's the only way to play miniature war games, but I think there's a perception for people when they're learning it that it's fairly competitive, like from the very beginning, like of it. And so that can be intimidating, for somebody getting into it. And so that could be an element of it. Having said that, Magic is very competitive in my mind. It's actually going against another person, and it's still very popular. So I don't think that what I'm saying is the answer, because I think there are things that are competitive that are very popular, but it's interesting because I do think there are elements like everything that you guys said that make it so it is what it is, that it's there's so much that goes into it, and it draws a narrow group of people right now. Having said that, even things that are a narrower hobby, when you go globally, are still an industry. You know what I mean? Like, and so it's not as if there isn't a ton of miniature war game stuff happening out there. Like there is, it's just so many games and so many people that play. It's just that it's a niche. It's a sliver of a very large population of people worldwide.
It's what we need. We need a very famous person to come out just like Henry Cavill did.
Yeah.
To say, he plays 40K. We need somebody like that in historical wargaming or wargaming in general, not just 40K. To kind of be that face of it. If it's going to make a larger jump in society, because I think it is where it is, we're always going to be maybe increasing, but at a very small rate. Even now, as much stuff is out there. I mean, we're living in the golden age of this stuff, and it's still not a very big part of the market. I mean,
but are you saying that the reason it's not is because of people's perception of it being nerdy?
No, has nothing to do with being
or exposure. Or what do you mean?
I wouldn't disagree with that if somebody said that.
No,
I wouldn't disagree with that.
Well,
I think there's some people that definitely would shy away from it based on perception.
Oh yeah,
because that's humans. I don't think everybody would.
That's what
but I think there are some people that would.
Yeah, like in the beginning, I said there's a whole section of people. I don't care what game it is, because you're playing a game, they want nothing to do with it.
Right, but that's just people. Right.
So you got to take them out. So how do we get those that we can lure into our deepening hobby?
You're saying what would make it more appealing, therefore mainstream, right? Is that what we're trying to
I thought that's where we were going.
Or that would help define what
the question is just why or why not. It's not come up with a solution, but we're welcome.
No, but I mean, is that because I feel like we're still not even like all on the same page on what either mainstream means or I mean,
I use D&D as a comparator. I use D&D as a comparator. I mean, I don't think D&D, like I said, I don't think D&D is mainstream by some people's definition.
But I think what it is.
But most people know what it is, and many people work with people that play, or know people that play and stuff. Mm-hmm. Much more so, I think. And I don't live in the middle of the UK where GW was founded, and maybe there's many more people that play miniature games in certain spots in the world. But what to tag on what Tim said, I was thinking this too. I don't believe for a second that Stranger Things and The Big Bang Theory haven't both significantly been responsible for D&D and uptake of D&D. I do believe that there are certain things in popular culture that have added a significant percentage of players. and they may not be responsible for even 20% of it, but like I do believe that there are some pop cultural elements to people looking into it and becoming aware of it. Like and in this, and I think Tim kind of said something similar to that, or just basically saying like if somebody like Henry Cavill or more people like that came out, if now that's like Space Marine 2 became very popular with video gamers that were not into Warhammer, and like we're like it's done extremely well, like as a video game, and probably more people have taken an interest just because of that, I would think. Like I think that's the way things work sometimes. Yeah. But again, like getting back to Curtis's comment, this is just a theoretical discussion over drinks. It's I don't, we do need to get to the comments because I think there have been some great comments in here, and one of them, I'm just going to paraphrase it, but one of them was talking about how like getting popular inherently changes things, and so there is the risk of that. You know what I mean? And so like sometimes getting popular is definitely not a good thing if you like it the way it is. Sometimes in order to be more popular to a general audience, you have to lose what it was originally, Yeah. And so that's actually another whole, I mean, like we're just talking about the whys and what do we think it is, but that's an interesting point, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to go back to the comments real quick because there's some comments like that in there. There's a lot of comments on this discussion. Clyde says French are very adjacent.
Very adjacent.
Very adjacent.
Bill says about 38 years ago, I used to collect Grenadier miniatures. Is he trying to get me to say this? They had a great fantasy line.
You nailed it.
Battletech is carried by Target and Barnes.
Yeah.
Along
with a whole bunch of other board games.
I don't know that mainstream is correct for miniatures. Board games are far mainstream. The other thing I didn't bring up that I wanted to bring up in this is that there's also miniature board games. There are things that are called miniature board games. And I think
Battletech is a miniature board game.
Yeah, but even to me, Battletech is a board game, like you say, but it's also like highly focused on the miniature part. Like Zombicide to me is a board game that uses miniatures. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I think those are really fairly popular. And like I would just call them board games, but I think people are becoming very used to having miniatures in the board gaming world. It's not just top hats and like thimbles and things.
Yeah, the Kickstarters have shown that. Everybody, if you follow the board game Kickstarters, they're all about if they'll include miniatures. And then there's always some people that want to not have them just for cost wise, but boy, people will just love it if they have nice miniatures.
Sure, absolutely.
Any purpose of the game.
Percy says my wife's boss collects and paints Tau. The IT guy at her work does Space Marines. Well. That's
cool.
Yeah, Warhammer is definitely gaining. This is where Curtis mentioned we talked about this one. Like we don't really need it to be mainstream. I agree with that. I think he comes back and I think he makes a really good point. And so Mel says I think rather than geekiness, it's more looked at as adults playing with toys. People. Yeah. Which that kind of sounds worse.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, I know people that
where's my rubber ducky, huh?
Yeah, I know people that's exactly their attitude. That's that part of the population you will never get them to step over the line because it is perceptual to them of being childish and immature.
Right. Yeah, childish. That's a good. Yeah, I think that's definitely a good way to put it. People don't get the possibilities of example. Historical gaming equals a wealth of research and can lead into different eras.
Yeah.
That's true. D&D has been destroyed because of its mainstream title. Yeah, no, like we kind of...
I think kind of touched on that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that you make a really good point. 40K is going the same route. Topic is great, Palmer. I'm talking about keeping our hobby niche. We don't want it to go the route of D&D and 40K. I totally agree. If that's what has to, if that is the outcome of going mainstream,
I would
who
just
wants
rather
it?
say niche.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool the way it is. Yeah.
Grew up in a gaming family, cards mainly, but board games also, says Percy. And hopefully we can keep it that way. The entry point is what keeps miniatures so non-mainstream, like Tim says. Totally agree. Clyde says video games are key to getting people into all the extra that is miniatures. Okay. Well, video games certainly. It's a whole other topic, but that is a
gateway drug.
Talking about monster. That is the elephant in the room.
Oh yeah, that is
as far as like that just blows away. Even RPGs don't even come close. I mean, like and board games too, probably combined. Easily. Companies are learning to make the entry point easier with pre-painted minis, dumbed down rules, tourney play focus, etc. I would agree with that, and I would actually say that even within the miniature wargaming world, dumbed down rules are actually becoming more of an offering and something that I'm not always interested in.
Well, I think that came to rise to the one-page rules stuff. I mean, they write some pretty clever stuff in a very small format. But see, this is the one thing when you do that, it's incumbent upon the player to add all the back stuff that you could find in a rule book or the fluff of old Warhammer Fantasy. If you've just got the stats and the rules, then it's up to you to create the rest of the stuff. And how many people want to do that? Even in their own head, if they don't even write anything down, how do they? Yeah,
I actually think we could do
for the playing. I think those things you throw out, Palmer, that could be. It's never ending. We could talk about this.
Well, no, like the one-page rules and the success of one-page rules and the amount of people like of all walks of life in miniature wargaming that like and don't like. Because I think there are like really diehard good hobbyists that both like and don't like miniature agnostic, like more streamlined rules. Mm-hmm. And then there are folks that are also really good hobbyists and like wargaming miniatures that don't. I actually think we could do an entire topic on that.
That
would be a totally topic within itself. The cost of books nowadays is what's keeping me from expanding. One-page rules is fun and fine. So far, the only 2 expansion books, $14 each, not $60. Yeah, no, I mean that's definitely good. It's a good point. Clark says 40K the miniatures game isn't mainstream. 40K the IP is. Yeah. Unfortunately, GW is becoming an IP management company, not necessarily a gaming company. Okay.
I can say when Henry Cavill's 40K series comes out, whenever that may be, you're going to probably see an insurgence of people wanting to play the miniature game, because then they're going to see it's like they're going to get exposure to it. What's this all about?
Yeah.
So,
and like nothing for nothing, but if you like the universe, which I do, the models are awesome. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's just like the actual imagery in the models. If you like that, like the models are amazing. It's just I'm not big into the current games and for a while, like in 40K, but man, like when I see this stuff that they come out with, it's incredible, like the way it looks. Video games are so vapid and hollow.
Yeah.
Tell us what you really think, Percy.
Well, he's right about that, but I tell you what, I've been lured into them, and I play World of Tanks, and it's so competitive and stuff. Although some of the people are very snarky and vulgar, but it's so addictive to know that you're going to play this really quick 5-minute thing where things happen really rapidly and you have an absolute result from your own ability. And sometimes it seems a little fishy the way things get paired up, but I'm not sure what their algorithm is and how they do that. But other than that, it's addictive. I can spend way too much time doing it.
Yeah, it's like if you want to talk about people really getting angry in the chatting, is if you go on to tier 9 or 10 World of Tanks game, they get if you start screwing up, boy, they let you have it.
Oh yeah.
Curtis says 40K is mainstream regarding the gaming community, or at least the most popular among miniature games as a whole. Just as D&D and RPGs are the most mainstream in the gaming community as a whole.
Can't disagree with that, really.
Clark says the wargaming community isn't mainstream, though. 40K Warhammer, Games Workshop, games in general have always been mainstream in the gaming community. The wargaming community is mainstream, but I can't argue with that. That's for sure. Gaming probably needs to toss Pathfinder as a second to D&D. Okay. That's a popular one, which I've heard. I've never played it, but I heard Pathfinder at one point was supposed to be just like going back to an earlier version of D&D. Like it was sort of that's why I've never played it, but that's what I was.
I think it was 5th edition.
Okay. Then Curtis says, but we're limiting our discussion to the gaming community, right? Well, we're not really limiting it at all, I don't think. But like the subject is about miniature wargaming and how, if we think it's mainstream, I think we're way beyond that now. But like, if we think it's mainstream, and why or why not? And I think we're way beyond that. I think the vast majority of people here, under almost any definition, do not consider miniature wargame mainstream. Like, I've not heard anybody say that. I've heard people say that Games Workshop is mainstream within miniature wargaming, but miniature wargaming, for the most part, most people do not believe is mainstream. I know more people that do miniatures than croquet, quilt, or needlepoint. Well, I just think you got to get a new group of friends, Percy. It's like too many. It's just too. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
I think that you probably have the right group of friends if that's the case. But I do think that croquet, quilting, and needlepoint are still very popular.
Crochet
within. Oh, I thought we were talking about sport here. Oh, okay. No, it's crochet, not croquet. Okay. Okay. And so. Basically, I think it just depends on, I still think those things actually are still quite popular, but probably maybe your point is too, that maybe your point is that there are a lot of people that actually do those three things, I believe, but we just don't see it or hear about it. Because I actually think those things, there's so many people that are into that stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I think so. I mean, like, it's just that it's, a lot of them are old.
Yeah, well, just miniature gaming in general. I mean, it's such a combination of things that draw you to it. I mean, like we said, what Dungeons and Dragons or any kind of role-playing game, you pick the genre you like. You can pick up a couple books, and then you're hanging out with friends. It's you don't the Dungeon Master, although you can use those pre-designed modules, so it doesn't require all the prep that this hobby does. And then, like my brother, he loves war games and stuff, but he wants to just move chits around a hex and counterboard, which I love too. But for him, and he loves to come, like he'd come play and he thinks it's cool what I do, but he would never in a million years do that. And he's a gamer. I mean, he's a hardcore, he has hundreds of games, literally hundreds. Games we haven't even played. So he would be a prime candidate for it. And he used to model when we were kids, built, Airfix kits and stuff. But so that's even somebody that you would think would fit in, and he's known what it. I've been, as long as I've been painting miniatures, he knew what it was. But that's just not what he's not after the aesthetic or the fun of painting or collecting. So it requires all these different facets to be a hobby that you're going to be interested in. Mm-hmm. More exposure is always good, but I would think in this day and age with social media and all the stuff, that if you haven't at least seen that it's out there, then, and you see on YouTube channels too, people will comment, oh, I love your huge Napoleonics army or your Warhammer Fantasy army or whatever. But, then they're like, but the money, the time, the space, opponents. And so,
but that's always, That's almost with any hobby, though. Like, there's so many people out there that like stuff, but will always make an excuse as to why they don't want to do it.
But those are legit. I mean, if you're going to buy all this stuff and then not actually see the project through, which you see that's why all this stuff comes up on eBay.
Most people don't know that's going to happen until after they get into it, though. Most people do not see that coming. That like they're going to, you know what I'm saying?
Well, but after you've done it once or twice, then they quit.
That's true. That's true.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Because I think there's a lot of people that would love to do it, but they just, real life they know won't allow it, or they have bought it and it's been sitting there for 5 or 8 years and they painted 2 guys. That's basically where I was at until my kids got older.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely barriers. I mean, there's definitely barriers, but then there's also like, I wasn't sure if you were talking about just the tire kickers that never do anything, because I meet lots of people like that.
Well,
that just,
there is
what I mean?
No, you're right. I mean, there's that too, but I was just thinking
both sides of it.
Legitly would do it, but
yeah. Clyde says that he's thirsty. Battletech. I just got finished while having 2 sips after he said that. So I don't know.
Your cheeks are starting to get a little red right here right underneath your eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm getting upset because it's not mainstream. Like that's what's happening.
Really
I'm just getting upset.
Yeah,
it's bothering me.
You got to make it mainstream. Me. It's your life goal.
So Curtis says, I wouldn't say that D&D and RPGs are mainstream overall in pop culture. I don't know. I mean, like, again, it's down to the definition. I don't think that it's mainstream in that like everybody plays it, but I think knowing about it and references to it and just having a movie called Dungeons and Dragons, like just lots of stuff, it's just much more visible and accepted, I think, as a thing. But yeah, it's not mainstream in the sense that everybody's doing it. I would agree. If that's what you mean. But yeah, it kind of is all based on your definition.
Yeah.
Magic the Gathering is mainstream. Any of the card games are. Again, like Mel's saying that Magic the Gathering is mainstream, and I think by like a gamer's perspective, it is. More events, more stores, more space. But then like when we're talking about in pop culture overall, I think like Big Bang Theory and many people have highlighted like the ridiculousness of like rare cards, and like everybody knows about it, and like, but not everybody plays it. And so yeah, it just depends on your definition. I
wonder if people from other countries would respond very differently than I mean, we're basically U.S. and Canada here, but
true. We always have that kind of,
because we're taking from our point of view, and it might just be somewhat either cultural or the size of our countries or the diversity, or I don't know.
Available resources, like people in the world that worry about more, like more. Like,
just lots of factors.
Needs. Didn't James Woods play miniature games before his house burnt down? That sounds like an innocent joke. But in any event, I don't. I'm not laughing at anybody's house burning down, but I don't know. Was James Woods actually? Like, was he a miniature war gamer or like a gamer?
Robin Williams was.
I know. Yeah,
a gamer.
He played 40K.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, there are plenty of people, but I never heard James Woods. Is he a gamer?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
I haven't heard. He'd be a closet gamer, maybe.
That everything was in the closet before it burned down, is what Mel is saying. Mainstream isn't the answer. I think that Curtis is developing like a political campaign here. So it can be made more appealing without going mainstream. Yeah. It might not be James Woods, but there's one actor that has had a huge collection. Okay. First, Stranger Things absolutely blew D&D up as well as 80s nostalgia. I would agree. That's Percy.
Because you got a whole genre kids generation that are exposed to it, and they're going, "What is this? What are they doing?"
Playing with our little painted dollies. I think that's probably very close in reference to our childish, like how people think it's childish.
It's like I got a friend of mine that totally says that to this day.
That's
even though he's known I've done this for.
I've never heard that.
Well, Percy says action figures, and it's funny. I've long wondered, how many people that were into miniatures and miniature wargaming in their youth, at least in my era, were like had Star Wars figures and like grew up during that time, because like army men and things like action figures, there has to be some appeal, cross appeal.
G.I. Joe.
Well, there has to be, because there's still like, even if you're not rolling dice and stuff, there's still, and even if it's not rules, there's still miniature sculptures that you're like imagining doing things. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
you always had to, if you got your big, it was back in the day when I was a kid, G.I. Joes were big, you know?
Yeah, the 12-inch tall guys. Yep.
Yeah, and you had to go over and burn down Barbie's house, literally.
Yeah. Yeah. And I came after that, but I was in that period where they were still out and about. Wife calls them, Clark says, my wife calls them war dolls. Finely crafted figurines.
War dolls.
All we need are little bendy arms. Fine English craftsmanship. Not true, Tim. OPR has 2 lore books out now. OPR. Yeah, what were you referring to?
I'm not up onto one-page rules that much.
Oh, one-page rules. Okay.
Yeah, and
lore books.
I mean, I can understand where they probably come out with some stuff like that now, but in the beginning, there was nothing, you know, like that. So yeah, I mean, somebody's sitting out there cranking that stuff out. More power to them. Good.
It's very popular. Yep.
Yeah.
Clark says an interesting conversation one day would be what are dumbed down rules versus what are rules that don't have bloat and excess content or crunch.
Oh gosh, start a Clark wants to start a fight. Clark wants to start a fight. He's poking us.
That's a legit comment, though.
Yeah, it is, but it's one of those that can just blow up. I mean,
well, there's no wrong answer.
And I actually think that if you take out the word one-page rules, like if you don't talk about a particular thing that somebody plays, I think that discussion can be, I'm just going to go back to that comment. I think that discussion can be a constructive discussion. And it's not something that we have talked about this before on the show. Like we're in our 8th season, and Rusty, we've had this conversation in the past on the show, right? Like crunchiness versus open, like, you know, looser rules or more
crunchy
streamlined
rules versus
like
simplistic, dribble.
Streamlined, yeah.
Absolutely. Fond memories of my Little Britain miniatures, so fun. BattleTech, for my love of the game, has 5 or 6 books that are 300 plus pages each.
Oh yeah. BattleTech is a very big onion.
Yes.
You can scratch the outside crunchy side, and that's all you have to ever do.
Yeah.
And you can keep delving deeper and deeper and deeper with multiple layers, as much as you want or don't want to.
And do your eyes water the longer you spend time with it?
I miss playing, man.
Some of that is probably excessive. Love 40K's background and lore. I pretty much play with the older rules, though. Yeah, no, I can agree with that. It's popular for a reason.
40K is one of those love-hate relationships.
As a comment to video games / shows, feeding new players, a few shop owners that have YouTube channels did see an influx of new people asking about 40K and asking how to get started. Okay, that makes sense. I've seen wargaming shops and clubs have YouTube channels. Yeah, I could see.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
How that would be popular.
I'm surprised that more don't.
Yeah,
because it's such a way to get
exposure.
I don't know. It's almost like free advertising.
Yeah.
So I love playing World of Tanks at the lowest tier, says Clark.
Okay, Clark, look me up, man. We'll platoon.
Tier usually nothing past 6. Tier 6 probably about the max you go, Tim.
No, I go up to 10.
You go to 10?
Oh, I've been playing for years. I've got just about everything imaginable.
Okay.
But I do like tier 8. Tier 8's pretty good because you have some really good stuff and you have a whole lot of different kinds of players and stuff like that. When you start getting too much, True. Some of the comments, they get a little racy.
Yeah.
I love the N word. Some boys love using the N word on the World of Tanks. Woof.
Clyde says, I mean, if you want me to say miniature gaming is mainstream just to rock the boat, I don't believe it is, but I'll say it caused problems. Also, still thirsty, BattleTech.
There's somebody. Let's stir the pot.
He had to rub his fingers after that one. All that typing. That's it. I'm bringing this topic of mainstream up on my stream tomorrow. All right. Awesome.
All right. Keep the conversation.
Head over to Curtis's stream for a continuation. Sounds like I have a feeling that I know a little bit of what he's going to say. Just he's actually kind of made his opinion quite clear. My promos for the Musty Wargamers, awesome. We always appreciate that. Percy says, I'll come over there and chime in. Cool. And he will. All right. Musty Wargamers podcast needs to go mainstream. Well, that's a work in progress. We're on our season 8.
I don't know if we haven't caught on by now. I don't know if we're ever going to catch on.
Barbie was a Russian spy.
Yes. Burn her house down.
OPR has a new box game coming out. Miniatures, rules, etc. Oh,
really? What kind?
70 plus minis.
Wow. I mean, what kind of?
They sold out. They've sold out, is what it sounds like.
Sold out. They've become mainstream.
They've gone mainstream.
Shoot.
They've added 100 more pages to one-page rules.
They're trying to say they're not the man, but now they're becoming the man.
100 times 1 page rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, the OPR box starter will feature plastic miniatures instead of STLs. Okay,
yeah, but what kind of plastic miniatures?
And I guess I thought one-page rules had.
They're two-dimensional plastic miniatures.
But I thought that one-page rules was like span many different kinds of games. Like,
well, you can have but there's different genres of one-page.
That's what I mean. So, like, if you have miniatures, I'm assuming it's for like, one period? Of them. Like space versus fantasy, or.
Well, a lot of their rules are skirmish rules, so they could do like a variety pack.
Mm-hmm.
Where you could have like a couple. If they have 70 miniatures in that thing, they could have several different forces over different periods, especially if they're small skirmish games.
Yeah, true. I guess that's true. Don't forget to like the stream, everyone. Like. Grim Dark Future Broken Truth. So it is Grim Dark. 2 full armies for Grim Dark Future with a total of 77 high-quality 32mm plastic miniatures.
Wow.
That's
quite the change.
Yeah, and Curtis confirmed that. Like, he thinks it's also the 40K clone.
Huh.
Wow.
All right. Well, we'll do one more post here. The rest we'll do after the next topic. The box includes 2 of our most popular factions for Grim Dark Future: the Saurian Star Host and the Robot Legions.
Oh,
so robots versus lizards.
Hey, man, everybody loves stompy robots, baby. Go get them.
There you go.
Well, the next Star Host. I think I got a bunch of those STLs.
Huh.
Well, just our next topic is one that we have talked about in various forms over time. Opinions do change, and everybody's working on different projects and may have a different insight to this, but it's just a general thing. Like, a lot of us struggle, some of us struggle with burnout, or hobby burnout, or losing your mojo and things like that. Some of us go, I know people that actually never seem to, and like always just paint like throughout the year and never seem to slow down whatsoever. I know people that actually never seem to paint at all, and occasionally you'll see a miniature or a video, and then I see people that go up and down, like, you know what I mean, like just sometimes doing stuff and whatever. We all actually have different paces and enthusiasm or whatever, or ambitions. But the question is what drives you to model and or paint? Just hobby, like what drives you to hobby, and all of the things that you think, do you cause that or prevent you from doing it? And so, yeah, just sort of one of those topics, just to kind of And maybe what will come out with this is give people some ideas, or for those of us that are going through a funk, reevaluate. And so, who would like to start with that?
Painting in Funky Town.
Is Funky Town filled with lots of stone building ruins?
Yeah.
Because if that's the case, I think you are painting in Funky Town.
Oh man, I'd say for me it's finding my zen. It's like telling the world to shut up and go away for a while. That's why I do it. Get away from it,
Clark.
We'll put this up here. Guilt is what motivates him.
I bought all this stuff. I better paint it or I'll feel bad.
So, Rusty, for you, it's kind of like therapy. Like you do it in order to actually affect your life. Like it's the thing that you do to actually affect your mood.
Yep.
And stuff.
Kind of like keeping the PTSD away type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like painting tanks so you don't see tanks.
Something like that. Gunner single
like,
tank.
Yep. Better to see it on my hobby table. Yeah. So, what about you guys?
Well,
for me, go ahead, Tim.
Oh, well, years ago before I retired, it was much like what Rusty said. It was about finding that peace and, quiet and staying away from the rest of the world, basically. Now it's more about just the painting and collecting and the peace I find within it, because it balances out the rest of the life. I don't know. It's different now that I'm retired. It's just I just feel differently about my painting and about the place it holds in my life in general, because it had really such a significant role in that Zen place, I don't know. It was my escape from all that,
Stepping back from reality.
I used to run all the time until my knees blew out, and that was part of my. It was very cathartic for me to run and just to run and run and run, and it was almost like the more I ran, the more I left all that stress and everything behind. Gaming, like in the wintertime, and it was always about that. It took me away from that. It gave me something else to focus on. And I always talk about it just me, the miniature, and a paintbrush, and everything narrows down. All comes down into that moment, and it's very cathartic. It does. It just there was always something about it. It's kind of evolved now, and I'm kind of at a place where I'm not sure I can actually define it as that anymore, because I don't have that stressor on the other side. So now it becomes it's something a little nebulous, unformed, but very. I still have and drawn to it. But yeah, it's still important, but I'm just not sure how it plays out. Where it is. It doesn't hold the same spot. It's kind of moved into this other area, and right now I really couldn't define it for you, but it's still pleasurable. I still like to do, and I love the finished product. A lot of the assembly and stuff is kind of a grind and not very much fun and all that kind of stuff. But when I get to like the end of one of those Viking units and I still got several more banners to do, and you'll have all the banners and everything. I love that part of it. I love when I get to that point, and it's so funny that the closer I get to working on those finishing aspects, the ground effects, adding the banners and all that, I really get excited about it because it's really starting to come together.
Mm-hmm.
That hasn't changed, but as an overall place, it has changed a bit. But
Sure.
I'm really quite not sure how to define it.
Yeah.
Years ago, I could define it very easily as that refuge for me from the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I don't have that problem with the rest of the world, this has changed, and I don't even know how to describe it. I don't have a word for it yet. I'll have to. It may take another couple of years for me to actually be able to define it. But
just call it 42. Just call it 42. Call it 42.
Call what 42?
You know,
definitely,
just define it as define it as 42. That's the
meaning of life.
Guide to the galaxy. It's the meaning of life. It's in
Oh.
the end, the answer is 42.
Okay.
Until get your answer, but before you do, just call it 42.
Yeah.
No, but I understand what you mean. Dan, I'm just gonna go next if you don't mind. I realize I usually go last when I'm hosting, but I actually understand that because it's not always the same for me. Like over my life, like when I paint, and that my motivations over time do not necessarily remain consistent, and so there are times when I've had days when my hobby room was my old hobby room down the hall from here, and I remember like walking down this longer hallway, and I remember like just this like stress or attention just leaving me. I could actually feel the stress leaving me as I was walking towards the hobby room door down in my basement, like down this hallway. I don't have as long of a hallway to walk now. It's not the same experience, but going to my own little haven and just like working on a project that is long term in the sense that it's not something I'm just doing tonight. Like I'm doing this over days or weeks, would have that relief. And, whether it was through work stress or life stress or whatever, it's like what people are saying, like about it being like something that relieves tension and things. Lately for me, it's different in that I'm getting into a couple of new games and I'm really interested in the gaming systems and I can't wait to play and I really like the miniatures. So it's almost like the kid in the candy store or the presents under the Christmas tree, like putting stuff on the table that I've not done before and just like this excitement to like work with new stuff is a motivating factor. And then like having more of it that I want to get to so I can use to paint. And so like sometimes there's like that Zen kind of idea that Rusty's talking about where like with my historical miniatures, even though I'm planning on doing some solo wargaming with French Indian War going up, I'm not pressured with games with other people to get things done. Like I can do it at my own pace. And so like the painting the miniatures in assembly line fashion is like more of like a meditation, like than it is with these other ones that I'm doing where I'm kind of doing a little bit faster. I've never played it before. It's a little bit, the excitement is a little different because it's new. And so sometimes it is that game, like just wanting to play the game and the rules. That is like that motivating factor for me that causes me to actually sit down and paint. And then when I don't have something like that, like sometimes it's going to an old friend. It could be like playing an old rule system that I'm very comfortable in and don't even have a game scheduled. I don't even know if I have an opponent anymore, but I'm just, I'm painting because I've painted it for years, like that kind of thing. And so when you say like it's changed, like, or like, you're kind of figuring it out, like I can kind of understand that because it's different for me, like all the time. Like it changes based on what I'm doing and where I'm at in my life in that sense. How about you, Dan?
Yeah, I'm not a whole lot different than a lot of the comments you guys have made. I think the biggest thing for me is the same as you guys have said. It's my happy place. Come down here in the basement and literally everything else just goes away. There's enough focus on what you're doing that it doesn't. It's not mind-numbingly challenge like mental gymnastics, but but it's enough focus that everything else goes away. And I think for me too, a big part of that is being always a farmer. You feel like literally everything's out of your control. The weather, the prices of what you get for your product, the prices you pay for your inputs, it's just, you're along for the ride. And this feels like something that I can control.
Sure.
And I like that. And and I've always dealing with living things, whether it's the animals, the livestock, or the crops, it needs attention every day, Sundays, or when you don't feel well. But here, if I need to step away for a couple days and I know it because I'm busy or something's going on, I can walk back in this room. This is the only room I've ever, other than I painted for a few months upstairs when the kids were real little before I had to give it up. This is just, it's like walking through into a magic room. It's just, I've got all my junk hanging up on the wall and all my games and it's just from when I was a kid has all been brought down in here, and we've been in the same house for 32 years. And so it's my happy room. Nobody comes in here but me. It's just, I think that's the biggest part. And then what really drives me is, as far as projects though, is I love making things. I think it's the creative part. I love to see these, these sprues of plastic or these lunks of bent up metal just like come to life, and it's like I did that. And I know they're not Golden Demon, and I know there's people paint way better, but and I'm always trying to do a little bit better and learn new things on it, and to set up a table that looks almost like a diorama. I love to see the slow growth. I don't lose patience on it. I just love to keep chipping away and seeing the progress, and I like long-term projects and long-term goals like that. That to me, I really thrive on that. And I love, because my goal, even with this ACW, I want to have probably upwards of 500 painted 15 mil miniatures, and I've got 100 done already. And maybe I'll have to raise my goal. It's like, and the more it grows, the more inspired I get to keep it growing, and it just feeds on itself. And that for me is what keeps me going on a project. But just the fact that this is my fun, happy, relaxing time is what gives me the biggest joy for doing the hobby.
It's funny. I thought of you the other day, only as Mr. Opposite in some ways, because I'm always encouraged or inspired when I see all of you guys and the stuff that you guys do. When I see you guys paint big projects, whether it be your terrain table, Dan, whether it be Rusty and his productivity, which is gigantic. Tim paints so much when it comes to your ancients and all senior stuff. And all of you, you have I see you guys inspire me at times quite a bit. But today, having said that, when I was jumping around and flitting from my French Indian War to my wrestling team to my spaceships, I was I'm having a lot of fun, because while I was waiting for my spaceships to dry, I was painting the white gloves and the boots on my wrestling team guys. And because they're small, these are small projects, like 5 guys right on the wrestling team,
right?
Just this group of ships, and then the 24 soldiers for the French Indian War are there waiting for me to do more on them. And for sure, that's for me not small, but I was enjoying the jumping back and forth, which is not something I typically do. But having said that, there's just so many ways to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's interesting. It was keeping me a little motivated in a way I never did before, because a lot of times I'd speak against to myself leaving one thing to go to another, because a lot of times the thing that makes me leave something makes me not want to go back to the other one at all, to lose momentum. But right now, for some reason, I've not really in my mind lost momentum, because I like where I'm at with the French Indian War soldiers. I didn't leave. I actually got them to the critical mass point for me, which is base painting on something that has a lot of detail. Getting most of the base paint down. Once I get past that, before I do washes and highlights, if I can get to there, I feel good. I feel like I'm liking this. If I actually left them after just priming and only getting 1 or 2 things down, that would be bad, because I wouldn't like looking back at them. right now I look back at them and I like what I see, and I want to still do more. But it's fun. It's been fun, like jumping and flitting. But I know you're like, you get inspired, it seems like, with what you're saying, by the magnitude of what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like you kind of, and that makes you happy. Like you clearly like that.
There's nothing like seeing a completed project. It's like you finish an army and you see it on the table and you go, "Oh yeah, I did that."
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
But then you got to start with that one miniature. You're like, after that.
Yeah. Well, the trick is to find what works for you. You know.
Yeah.
Some people do. I know that's what they always have, are like 4 or 5 projects, and they just kind of rotate through them, even within the same month. You know.
Sure.
And if that works, and if you're having fun, there's no wrong way to do it, right?
And I don't know if for me it's not just where I'm at right now. Like, you know, like I think
maybe, yeah.
I just happen to be gaming. I'm jumping into a lot of new games right now, so I think that's kind of why that is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting. Why don't we get to some comments on this? Let's see. We got the guilt one, and then
that was funny.
Curtis says it's a very therapeutic hobby. It encompasses so much, probably more than any other genre of our gaming community. It has meant a lot to me. Yeah, no, I would agree. Like, we are a community of people. Many of us in this room have known each other for many years. You know what I mean? It's sort of like there's a lot of people I don't know that are in this hobby for sure. But like there are also lots of people that stick with it for a really long time, you know, and it's clearly a huge part of our lives.
Yeah.
Mel says, I can't get away from the rest of the world. My situation has changed and I can get interrupted anywhere from 30 seconds to 5 to 6 minutes. Starting and stopping painting just doesn't work right now. Starting and stopping.
Yeah.
So,
trying to, when you just get started, then you got to put everything down, go do something else, and then try to come back and pick it up. Yeah, that must be a nightmare.
Yeah, I need a half hour, or, at least. Or
if I can't just get something, like you said, get things to a point where it's just, okay, base colors. I got my base colors done. I can walk away. If you're just constantly being interrupted, my goodness, that must be.
Yeah,
that was.
I would find it almost impossible to paint that way.
For sure.
And I wouldn't add the desire to paint stressor on top of whatever's causing this. I mean that.
Yeah, that'd be a stress in itself.
Yeah, that'd be stress in itself.
It was like back when first had the kids, all those early years. It was hard to get started until I realized all I have to do is just sit in front of the TV and watching a show and have the kids sitting there and you're working on something. And it's like you find a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
Percy says, concentrates the mind and settles the nerves.
Yep.
And Mel says, I tried to paint a platoon of Death Division, but I have 3 almost done and 10 in a various paint.
Yeah. Yeah, various stages.
Well,
now I'm curious, does he like to paint? I am going to paint this model, then move to the next model, or does he do like batch painting where
I think it's batch.
I'm doing all the boots, I'm doing all the trousers, and work the way up the model? Or, if you've got 3 of them done, then it sounds to me like he paints a single model.
Yeah,
and then moves to the next model.
Well, if you have to start and stop a lot, though, it really just depends. Sometimes that might be the best way because at least you kind of see some progress.
Right.
That might be the only way that you feel like
progress at all.
Because if say you paint all the boots, but you've still got so many incomplete models, at least now you can see the future because you already have 3 of them done. I would think under those circumstances, I agree, Palmer, with you that might just be the best way to approach that situation. Get one done. Just get one done.
And feel good about it. Like you feel
good
like
about the progress, and that leads you to the next one. You don't have to do it all at once, but you know what the end product is going to be.
Just don't think about all the paint you're wasting. That doesn't matter.
That.
I'm just kidding. I didn't say anything. No.
All right.
Now he's like, damn it.
All right, Debbie Downer, come on.
Right.
We're trying to be positive and uplifting.
I've went against the mission statement for the show.
Yep. What are you?
Against the mission
You're gonna get a demotion.
That's a black mark.
Demerit.
That's a black
Momentum
flag.
is
Merit.
We're red carding him.
Momentum is so important in mini painting. Once it gets broken, it's hard to regain. I definitely understand that. That's like a lot of things in life. Exercising too.
Yeah.
Yeah, momentum. Yeah, that's a big one. It's much easier to stay going at a low level than to stop and then try to regain. Yeah.
The trick is to find your pace and stick with it. No stress. Just keep going and coming back. That's tricky to maintain, however, especially if you're a commission painter, which I know Rusty does that, but I don't know that I could do that.
I could never do that. No.
Yeah. No.
A lot of respect for people that can do that.
Chris is back, which is awesome.
Oh yeah.
And they're talking about lots of good discussion. These knuckleheads sure keep it interesting. I
think that's an apt description.
Knucklehead is a great Musty word. If we're talking about Musty Wargamers, knucklehead.
How many of us growing up were called knuckleheads? So, come here, knucklehead. Let me show you what you did wrong.
The accumulation of armies is a good motivator. It's so cool to see different troops organized into sections and whatnot. I actually think that's a good point. There are times when, like, a lot of us have cases or like spots where we display our miniatures. I find sometimes looking at what you've done before is inspirational.
Yeah.
Oh, Percy's got to go?
Yep.
Okay. Thanks for stopping by,
Yeah,
Percy.
good to see you, Percy.
See ya.
Okay, I think when we were talking about earlier about like us meeting people and stuff, Chris says, I met family on Kurt's channel.
I've been watching his stuff for years and years.
Yeah. Down the line a bit, but batch painting is what I like. Clyde says, yeah, my painting time is very limited. Focus on finishing individuals that have been sitting about keeps me going.
Yeah, you got something done that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Curtis. Go ahead, Tim.
No, I was agreeing with that. I think it's the great way to do it. Sometimes you got that finished product that leads you. Do you do that with like if you start a project, but you have this really cool like command stand you want to do, or a commander model, or some sort of heroic character, and before you start the army as a whole, you pull out that really cool miniature and you just do them first.
Yeah.
Because you just want to get that one cool miniature paint. And that becomes like, when I put that one up, everything else falls in line with that, sometimes.
It's a good philosophy. I used to do it differently. I used to do it as a reward. Like I would paint all the, but like, I think that's a good point. Like that would be a better way sometimes for me to do it, to do that one first and have it as an inspiration. Because a lot of times I would do the commander models.
Yeah, good night, Clark.
Reward.
See you,
yeah,
Clark.
we're getting close here to our time going off. I know a lot of our show usually ends around this time, but I was just going to finish up these last couple of comments here. Curtis says I batch paint 3 hours a day or more, 5 to 6 days a week. And Curtis is all about maintaining a pace that works for you, stress-free. Mel says, without going into detail, my situation creates a lot of anxiety, probably more depression on me than I like. It's hard to even start, as I know I'll be frustrated in mere minutes. Yeah, I could definitely see. Sometimes you have to, like, none of us here are like, like experts, when it necessarily, all-knowing experts when it comes to life matters. But I've heard it said sometimes that, like, sometimes you just have to understand your limitations, and sometimes you have to take care of the situation that's sort of like preventing you from doing what you want to do, and not worry about the end result yet. You know what I mean? Like, and like, it sounds to me, Mel, like that's what you're in a situation where you probably realize that, like, you got to change, that before you can actually, be able to be productive in it.
and really don't let the hobby create more stress for you. Because
take the parts you like.
All understand the hobby is going to be there.
Yeah.
And life changes over time. And if you're just patient and you just grind away at it, just put your shoulder into whatever you've got to get done and just keep pushing. And this too shall pass and you'll move on into this next phase. But don't let this add. I know sometimes it's like, I wish I could, and that adds a little, but trying to do something and then being frustrated with not finish it, I think that would be very stressful. That would add a level that you probably don't need on yourself. So give yourself a break. Enjoy the collecting part right now. If that's all you can do, enjoy the collecting, the research, the eye candy that's out there, and enjoy that part of the hobby. But don't stress yourself out that you're not getting massive amounts of work done and stuff like that, because it's really not worth it. It's for joy, but there are parts of it that you can enjoy with it, but lower your expectations for yourself, because your life is not allowing you to do that. Do it in parts that you can do, and do the parts of the hobby that you enjoy, that you can enjoy. Don't let it stress you out, because that's the worst part. I mean, this could stress you out. Like, I got to get this done and that done, and why can't I do this and why can't I do that?
Well, Dan's kind of an example, I think, in some ways, in that, like, you have vast times of the year that you have to completely stop the hobby.
Yeah.
Like, because of your farming, like, time is like not decided for you. Like, you have times of the year where you're like, before the sun's up and until after the sun's down, like, you got stuff you got to do.
Right.
And during those seasons, you lay it out. Like, I've heard you talk about it. Like, like, I don't do this hobby until these months. Like, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. And so it's sort of like if you were actually getting upset and like trying to do, and I'm not saying Mel's getting upset necessarily, but if you were like trying to get certain things done and feeling guilty and getting upset about it during harvest or like during different times, it wouldn't work.
No, and see, that's one of the nice things about the hobby is that you can put it, you can put it to the side.
Yeah,
it will be there.
It'll be there. You're not, doing bonsai plants. You're not. I mean, it'll be fine sitting there, and it's not a saltwater tank or something that needs attention.
Exactly. Chris says, I batch paint. It's the way to go. Mel says, I do my leaders first, and then the men follow the leader, right? That's kind of what we're saying. That's a good point.
I do mine lead the way.
And last comment of the night before everybody kind of does their final goodbyes here. Warmut says, thank you, Army Painter Speed Paints. I used to stress out trying to make each mini look great. Now I just want to paint my minis well enough so I can play the game, which I think, as long as you're happy with your miniatures, and everybody's standards different. Like,
Absolutely.
there are people that refer to painting something as fast and quick, and I think it looks like amazing, But yeah, no, like, there's a certain element to that of balance.
Well, those speed paint, contrast paint, everybody's got a line of them now. Those can really give you pretty amazing results with, basically minimal effort or time or work. I don't know what the word is, but it is impressive.
Yeah. And the first couple of coats I did here were speed paint. I mean, I actually ended up doing some other things, but these are speed paints. And then I did.
Wow. Okay.
I did actually the brown and so I did like a Nurgle kind of paint scheme with the brown, and then I did regular GW washes, and I did some dry brushing and then some detail painting. But the original paints, the base color scheme is all speed paint, and I was quite happy with it. And so, like, it wasn't a sacrifice for me. Like, in the end, like, that's no different to me than if I would have tried it with regular paint.
That's amazing. So is that 2.0 or the first ones?
Speed paint. This is actually, I was going to say, it's 2.0. No, actually, I actually got an Amazon box, and 2.0 was out, but they sold me one of the 1.0s, and so I ended up getting the original stuff that apparently does have a bit more reactivating, like they reactivate a bit more. But I had no problem with them. I really like them.
Just curious.
Yeah. So, anyways, great discussion tonight. I haven't painted anything tonight. I actually just chatted with you guys and drank.
Rusty gets the terrain addiction award.
Yeah, I gotta switch this.
I passed the torch to Rusty.
Yeah, it's pretty much done.
That's awesome.
And I think Tim and I, from what I could see, I think Tim and I were a bit more just on the discussion tonight. But you were painting a bit, Dan. I could see.
Yeah, got another group of 8. I do them in batches of 8. 2 pops, 2 tongue depressor sticks. I've got them to the wash. Then I'll just put highlights on them, and I'll have.
I zoom in, but it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to see.
Won't be able to see much.
They're just it's not good. Yeah, I can still see him. Yep.
Yeah.
Looking good.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably going to be my next. After I do some of this, I think I'm going to go into the smaller scale stuff that I've got and start working on some of that. And I don't know. I've got so much 28 millimeter stuff backed up.
Yeah,
I don't.
Me too.
Yeah, I got. Oh God, that's awful. What I bought last year that's still in a box or a bag or something. It's just terrible. I don't know.
Looks like everybody's heading off now, which is really our time now to go anyway. So thanks everybody. Thanks for all the comments and all the great discussion.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Yeah. Good night, everybody.
Night,
see you
everyone.
in 2 weeks over on Rusty's. Take care.
And just to let you know, it's already set up for the next show. The topic's already up.
All right. Cool.